Welcome back to the Clutch Pearl podcast. I'm Noah Carter, and here with me, Grant Tanner. We're back at it.
Yes,
We
sir.
got a lot of stuff to talk about. The weekend games were pretty disappointing, I would say. Most everything kind of went the way it was supposed to go, but really exciting slate coming up here. And there's a few other topics we got to talk about. We're ready to get going. You ready, Grant?
Yes, sir. Start us off. What's first on the agenda tonight?
All right, first we have Aaron Torres, pretty big analyst in the college basketball world. He had a take that's really been trending. Uh, we've talked about it a little bit, but I've said it. Uh, Zach Edey gets officiated a little bit different than everybody else, is then he kind of gets catered to. That's Aaron's take, and a lot of people don't agree with it. They're having some backlash, and I want to know what you think about it.
I mean, from my perspective, and you don't have to agree with this. I'm sure not everyone will. How can you not officiate someone like that a little bit differently than everyone else? I mean, what is he like 7'3", 7'4"? Like any
Yeah,
any any person who's up over 7 foot, it's just a massive human being. So like really the only way to guard a load like that is just hack the shit out of them. So like the way
yeah,
the way
and
the game is played catered around him is going to be different than your normal 6'8" guy on the court. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. But what Torres is saying is that Edie fouls way more than he gets called for. He's saying that he gets by with a lot.
Yeah, I I I kind of agree with that too. But that again goes to him being 20 feet tall. Like if
Yeah,
when
I
he
almost feel
jumps,
like
he can jump
it's
straight up and bring
yeah,
his arms down, and he's still 4 feet over a point guard who's driving in the lane against him. So I don't
yeah. I
know.
feel
It's
like it's almost that's like the officials' way of like they feel bad that almost so to speak that he's just getting hacked the crap out of to no calls. So then he goes on the other end and he gets by with stuff. But as I've mentioned before, like there's been some fouls that he's gotten by with, especially in the Big Ten. He gets catered to. So Aaron, he's on to something a little bit, but I do agree with some of the other takes though that like it's like you said, it's hard to officiate somebody that big and that strong.
I mean the same argument could be made, maybe to a lesser degree, because these people weren't to the caliber of Zach Edey, but look at Kofi Cockburn at Illinois, Sheboy at
Yeah,
Kentucky. They were all just brutal in the paint, and they got away with a lot of stuff, especially Sheboy. I hated that dude when he was at Kentucky.
yeah. I mean, in all honesty, Kofi, not calling fouls for Kofi, there's an argument to be made that that's what cost Illinois that game against Loyola. You know, what was his name? Cameron, I think. Cameron something. I don't remember. Mustache
Oh,
Mania.
dang it, what was his name? He
I don't
had the
know,
game
but
of his.
he just hacked the crap out of Kofi and got Kofi in foul trouble on the other end. And I mean, it was doomsday for Illinois. But I think we're
That
ready to go to the next topic. I didn't want to touch on that too much. What do you
Just
think?
side
Is there
note, what was
anything
that?
else?
I guess that was 3 years ago now. That was
Yeah,
the absolute worst first round matchup that Illinois, or second round matchup Illinois could have gotten that year. I don't remember which
yeah,
round.
that was brutal. It was second round as a one seed, second overall seed, Drew Loyola Chicago. But I don't want to spend too much time on the next one either. Uh, but we tweeted about it, so I definitely want to cover it. Uh, what in the world is going on with the AP poll? You have Illinois beats FAU on a neutral court, one spot behind them. You have Colorado absolutely destroys Miami. And what happens with that? Miami's ranked 24. Colorado barely receives any votes.
Tell you what happened. The AP voters don't watch the Clutch Pearl podcast. They didn't listen to me when I said how important of a game it was for Miami. Miami let me down.
I mean,
No, I mean
clearly they're
Miami.
not
Miami
watching
is not a top
basketball.
25 team right now.
No, Not even close.
I
Those
understand.
teams, Colorado, Miami, are 7-2. Colorado destroys Miami. So tell me how Miami is ranked and Colorado's not. I don't get it.
No, listen, man, we could go on about this every episode for a long
Yeah.
time, but it's well established that AP voters don't know what they're doing.
No, no.
It's
They don't know ball.
I mean that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Really, like if you want to get down to it, they don't know ball.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it was Jeff Goodman tweeted. I mean, when you have actual national analysts that are very recognized talking about how bad of a job the AP did, there's something going on that's clearly bad. Clearly, they didn't watch any basketball last week. Most definitely. All
I
right, a
will
quick
say,
hitter.
I will
Oh, sorry.
say, most of the top 10 you can make an argument for.
Yep, I agree.
Like, it's hard to
I agree.
it's hard to vote against Arizona being the number one team right now,
Oh,
given their
definitely,
wins and they're undefeated.
undoubtedly, and we'll get to that more later for sure. All right, quick hitter. Naquan Tomlin, K State star from last year's run. He's gonna start second semester at Memphis after being let go from K State squad. It's a big time get for Penny Hardaway at Memphis. What do you think?
This tells me this tells me that they do not expect to ever play Mikey Williams. He gone. They're letting him go.
Do you think that has
How much
anything to do with Mikey
eligibility
though?
how much eligibility does he have coming to
I
Memphis?
thought Tomlin only has this year, maybe next year, but I could even be wrong about next year. I think he's a senior because he graduated. That's how he's eligible immediately.
I will say that Memphis is another team that should be in the top 25 poll right now.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
Huge win for them
they're
on
good.
Sunday.
Yep, they're good. My question is Tomlin going to mess with kind of the mojo that's going on with that squad? Because, a couple years ago when they got Amani Bates back from injury, that kind of happened where it was very, like, herky jerky.
It's so hard to say, but I mean at the same I that's right at the beginning of conference play and I the best example I have for that is Nick Smith at Arkansas last year. Highly touted recruit, highest ever recruited by Arkansas, didn't get to play till February and he just like he had a good game here and there, scored 20 something, but team just never clicked with him. And honestly, they were better with him off the floor. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it goes with him at Memphis. But I at the same time it could be an awesome pickup for him.
Yeah, I think overall it's good for college basketball that he's going to be playing. But like I said, like I said, it could be bad for Memphis. We'll just have to see about that.
It's kind of a coin
Come
flip if you're
January.
joining a team in the middle of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be weird though, seeing this because usually it's guys coming back from injury. Not often do you have a transfer like that come join its semester in basketball. So it'll be interesting how
I
he
don't think I can
understands the
name another
offense, the
instance of that.
defense. Not in a big school. I haven't. I don't think. There's been a lot of guys that come on from like overseas or whatever, or like Christian Lander enrolled early at Indiana a few years ago. But I mean, those guys, none of them really had an impact. This is a big impact type player.
Here's a question. With what we've already seen out of Memphis and the new addition, do they challenge or beat FAU for the American?
No,
You don't
FAU's
think?
top dogs. FAU is really good.
I mean, Memphis has just as good of a resume right now, for being honest.
I agree, but I don't know. Penny Hardaway is always known to lose a game he shouldn't, and he's going to have to prove to me otherwise until he doesn't.
I mean, we don't have that much of a track record on Dusty May either. He had one Cinderella run. and now we're
Yeah,
talking about them as a top 15 team. I mean, that's a very small sample
yeah,
size.
but
Farley
he won
Dickinson
what?
beat Purdue last year, and they're under
Yeah,
500 right now. I'm pretty sure.
yeah. But Dusty May won 30 some games last year, right? I believe. I mean, new conference, it's a little bit different, but yeah, Dusty's got a good group there, and Vlad Golden, I think he's one of the best big men in the country. I don't think he gets enough credit on that team.
He, you might disagree with this because you're a little bit of a homer, but if he does not get in foul trouble, FAU might win that game.
There's no disagreements with that. I mean that was kind of Illinois' game plan was to go in and
No, that
get him into foul
credit to
trouble.
them. That
It's a
that was
great
what
game
needed to
plan.
be done. Anyone who watches them knew that would have to be done for Illinois to have a chance in that game.
Yep, absolutely. All right, now we're on to the big topics. The slate's coming up. This is what's going to eat up the majority of the podcast. First of all, big weekend slate. Uh, let's start with UConn Gonzaga, 9 p.m. on Friday. This is the only game tomorrow that's worth a hoot. But what do you think about this one?
I want UConn by double digits in this game, and it's not just because I'm not a Gonzaga fan whatsoever. I'm still clinging to when Arkansas beat them in the what was that Sweet 16 when they had Chet and Timmy. But UConn's rolling, dude. They're good. They're my natty favorite right now, and this Gonzaga team's good. Don't get me wrong, but they're not what they've been the last 3 years when they had Drew Timmy anchoring them.
Yeah, I agree to an extent, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a very close game. Uh, Got to remember it's in Spokane, and Gonzaga, even in their tough non-conference games they've played the past few years, when they're at home, they're really tough to beat, and it'll be interesting to see how UConn does. And I want to. My big topic on this: how about Dan Hurley? I mean, he just flat schedules the big ones. I
He's a
love
dog. He's a dog. I like him. If I could go back,
He's one of my favorite coaches in college basketball, and I used to not like him.
he, he's hard not to like. He's got that killer instinct all the time. Like just the way he talks in his press conferences and interviews. Like, dude, dude's a winner. Dude's a winner.
Yep, 100%. All right, now for the Saturday slate. Uh, I want you to give me out of what I list. What are your picks to click? What are your best games to watch? What do you think? We got Kansas and Indiana at 11:30. Baylor at Michigan State in Detroit. So technically neutral site, but basically a home game for Michigan State. That one's at 1. Houston, Texas A&M. It's a neutral site. Texas A&M is technically the home game, but it's in Houston. That one's at 1:30. Clemson and Memphis. Somehow it's on ESPN Plus. That one's at 2. FAU, St. Bonaventure at 3. Arizona, Purdue, 3:30. Kentucky and Atlanta at 4:30. Alabama, Creighton at 7. And Tennessee, NC State, and San Antonio at 9.
So, I mean, the obvious answers here is going to be your Arizona, Purdue, North Carolina, Kentucky. But that one on ESPN Plus, I don't know why that game is on ESPN Plus. Clemson at Memphis. That's going to be a whale of a game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that might be the best game of the day.
Like,
Two's going to get all the hype, but that one's going
Memphis
to be
is
the
a top
closest
20
game.
Memphis is a top 25 team right now. They really are.
You with PJ Hall and Clemson either.
Getting Quinterly from Alabama was so huge for them. He's been massive for them, and same goes for Gerard at Clemson. I want to give you a prediction, but I really don't know. But I I want to say Memphis gets them at home.
Yeah, I'm going with Memphis. It's at the FedEx Forum, and Memphis don't lose that often at the FedEx either. So I'm gonna have to go with that one.
Rank the Tigers, baby. Rank them. They'll be
And
ranked. They
here's
win
one.
that game, they'll shoot up.
Yep. Here's one for you though. You ready for this? I think a sneaky game of the day is Baylor at Michigan State. Michigan State coming into the season, why everyone was so high on them was because of their guards. And their guards overall have performed pretty well. I mean, they've struggled sometimes in their losses, but their big man play has been what has hurt them. I'm anxious to see the matchup with Ray J. Dennis and Jacoby Walter against Michigan State's guards with a Michigan State home crowd. I think Michigan State has a chance to win that game.
That'll be a huge game for them. Like they need this to really just stay relevant in the season. I mean, when's the last time we saw a Tom Izzo team that was supposed to be good go into conference play under 500? Because they're sitting at
2003.
four. They're yeah, so 20 years ago. Me and you would have been 2 years old.
Yeah,
But
something.
I'm high on this Baylor team, and I don't like the matchups with their guards. Like I understand they have good guard play, but Jacoby Walter's a different kind of animal, dude. That's a freak athlete.
Yeah, I'm really
This
anxious
will
to see
be
how
this will
Walter.
be the
This will be
best.
Walter's first game against a good defending guard, though. AJ Hoggard can guard, really good defending guard. Be interesting to see what.
Auburn got after him and he put 28 up on him.
Yeah, but Auburn also jumps around, flies around. Sometimes they're susceptible to giving up a big game.
It it'll be a good test though. It's a different kind of tough, that Big Ten tough. Two very contrasting styles. I still like Baylor in this game.
It'll be a fun watch for sure. I think no matter
I
what.
mean, outside of the defensive matchups though, what are you taking the over under on combined points for Walter and Tyson Walker?
We'll set the over under at 52.5, and I'm going to take the under.
You think? One of them's gonna go off. One of them will. One of them will have 20 plus.
I think I could see them both having 20 plus, but I don't think either of them's going to have a 30 piece. And you almost have to have a 30 piece to hit that 53 mark between the two of them.
Give me the Bears though. Give me the Bears.
I think
Gonna be
the
a
Ray
whole lot
J.
of green in that arena.
I think Tyson Walker, how Tyson Walker does on Ray J. Dennis is going to be the difference in that game. It's not going to be Jacoby Walter.
He's not. He's not. He's not a defender. He's kind
I
of the
know.
same. It's the same story as Connect at Tennessee. Dude's there to get buckets.
Yeah,
Everything else is secondary.
I agree. I think an underrated, also another underrated game I mentioned, you at St. Bonaventure. The Bonnies are good. FAU could be on upset alert in that one. I think that's an underrated game of the day. What
Where
do you
is
think
that
about that?
one? That's a neutral site game, is it not?
No, I think it's at St. Bonaventure.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Look at the line on it. Do they have one posted yet? They do not.
I'm not sure.
No line posted yet. It's in Springfield. Where's St. Bonaventure's at?
Springfield, Massachusetts, I believe.
Oh, it is. It is. It is on campus. That is a sneaky game. I do love a good mid-major game that sneaks under the radar.
Yeah, that one should be a fun watch. I think both of those teams are very good. And so it'll be interesting to see who prevails. Who's the power of the mid majors.
This is one of those games that I think it'll just I already think they're a really good team, but it will expand upon that point of how good I think FAU is. Is that like you said, this is a tough, underrated game on the road. St. Bonaventure, well, they beat Villanova already this year, haven't they?
Yep, I think so.
They're a good squad, but FAU's old. They're experienced. I mean, even in that game against Illinois, dang, was that last week? Time's flying on me. Even that game against Illinois, like things were not going well for them, and they're still knocking down shots that need to be knocked down, doing what they got to do. They
Yeah,
don't make many mental mistakes outside of that loss to Bryant.
it's definitely a test to their veteran leadership. It shows just how veteran that squad is.
It'll I think St. Bonnie's keeps it close, but FAU pulls it out by 5 or 6. That's my prediction. It'll come down to fouling at the end.
All right, now obviously everyone is saying it's the game of the year, so gotta ask, who's your winner? Arizona, Purdue,
Where is that one being played?
in
It's
Indianapolis. So it's basically a home game for Purdue.
uh, just simply because of that, I gotta take Purdue in it. Because Arizona did win on the road in Cameron Indoor, but that Duke team is not like what they're about to play with this Purdue team.
Yeah, Purdue is definitely better. I think the matchup in this game, Ballo and Edey are going to kind of cancel themselves out. I think it's going to be the Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, and Lance Jones versus Boswell and Love matchups that decide this game. I
I
think if Boswell and Love show up, Arizona wins.
I think we've hit on this before, but you mentioned him just now. Lance Jones can be an X factor for this Purdue team. He's he's very similar to what Damask is doing in Illinois. I know they came from the same place. They got the same style of play. Mullins coaches them tough. He makes tough players. If he, I mean, he might not fill it up with 30 like Damask did the other night, but he does his job and he knocks down 2 or 3 open shots, like really he's been doing. Kind of take away some of the 30-footers he pulls up every once in a while. Like I think Painter said, I forget his exact quote, but he was like, essentially, he's pulling from Indianapolis when we're in Lafayette sometimes, and if we slow that down, we'll be rolling with them.
Yeah. And he can't help it. I mean, he just can't keep it out of him. He did it at SIU for 4 years, pulling up from a logo out there.
Give me Purdue in this game. We're gonna have to come back
I
next weekend and see how I picked these games.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close, but I do think Arizona's going to pull it out just because I just think Arizona's guards are better than Purdue's, and this is the one team that has somebody that can guard Zach Edey.
I do.
Uh,
I need to watch more. I need to watch more Arizona. I've only watched like 2 of their games. One of them was the Duke game, and that doesn't tell me as much now as it did then because Duke has shown us that they're not what we thought.
yeah, Ballow's the real deal. I like Ballow. I've said it from the beginning. He's one of my favorite big men in the country. All right, you ready to jump to next week?
They're
All right, we've got on Tuesday, we got Virginia at Memphis and Marquette at Providence, which I think is a Big East upset alert. What do you think's going on with those two?
the Memphis at Virginia game really intrigues me.
There's Virginia at
But
Memphis.
yeah. Sorry, that's on me. I was looking at it. I'm
You're
looking at it,
good.
and I still said it wrong. I think we picked Memphis in like 3 straight games that they've played in big games, but Virginia's gonna suffocate them, and
That
it's gonna be something they have
yeah.
not yet seen, and I don't think they're gonna respond well to it. And I see it. It's probably gonna be like in the 50s. This game will be because that's how Virginia plays, and Memphis is not gonna respond well to it. They wanna play fast, and it could I think it'll get kind of ugly, honestly. Like it'll only be like a 10, 12 point game, but that's a lot of points when you're playing Virginia.
Yeah, that's what when it's a game like that, I always take, as I did with Duke and Arizona at Cameron Indoor. When it's a game like this, I feel like they're very similarly, that was a tongue twister, built teams. I'm going to take the better coach, and the better coach is Tony Bennett at Virginia.
I would agree with that statement. The
Now, what do you think?
I was about to move on to that.
Yeah.
I mean, this Providence has a good record, but I personally don't think that good of a team. I mean, they have beat Wisconsin and they beat an all right Georgia team, but when did they play? They played Oklahoma last week sometime and just got the brakes beat off of. That was really the first legit team they've seen who is even close to Marquette's caliber in terms of scoring and athleticism. Marquette wins this game easily, in my opinion. You know,
Okay.
you know,
Here's
you
one
know
for
I'm
you.
big on Kolek too.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm one of as big a Kolek fans as there is. I'm a big advocate for this Marquette squad, but Providence is one of the toughest places to play in the country, and they're at home. It's a Big East game, top 10 team coming in. You don't think that place is going to be rowdy?
Oh, it'll be rocking. Don't get me
Give me
wrong, but
give me Providence by 5.
by five, not even on a buzzer beater. Listen, man. Listen, man. Buckets don't miss or go in based on crowd noise. Kolek don't care. He's gonna get his. Give me Marquette by 10.
I don't know. It's tough to even if you beat Providence at home, like when they're at home, it's going to be a close one. So this would be a fun matchup. I think that game is flying under the radar, and it shouldn't, because that's going to be a great game.
There's not gonna be a whole lot of Big East conference games this year that should fly under the radar. That conference is gonna be a lot of fun to watch when they get rolling this year.
Okay, you know what though? This is kind of an unpopular opinion. I think the Big East is extremely top heavy. I don't think it's that good of a conference this year. I think the Big 12 is far and away the best basketball conference in college basketball this year. I do think the Big East is up there, but I mean, outside of you got Marquette and UConn, they're in a tier themselves. Then you have what else?
I mean, you only need five teams to be good to play each other every 2 weeks for it to be entertaining. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
I
there's
would
only
agree.
four of them.
It is a little top heavy, but at the same time, like you're gonna have teams like Providence who, my prediction, they're gonna end up around the 500 mark at the end of the year. That's kind of what I'm thinking they'll be.
I
But you're
think
gonna have teams
Providence is
like
a
that
top four
where
team in the conference.
they're gonna have an environment like you have up there. You're gonna have upsets every night. Like even games that aren't gonna look big on paper are gonna end up being big, entertaining games.
I mean, yeah, Georgetown's terrible. St. John's is terrible. I mean, DePaul is the second worst team in America behind Louisville. Like I can go on and on. Like it's
I mean, I'm not arguing that the Big 12 is better or isn't better. Sorry. I'm saying that this will be an entertaining conference to watch, regardless of how top heavy it is.
yeah. I mean, it could be. It's just I'm worried about the state of that conference. I'm worried about the state of the Big Ten too. The Big Ten's only got three good teams: Purdue, Illinois, and Wisconsin.
And honestly, it's not going to get much better next year unless USC and Oregon, and who else is joining it? UCLA.
UCLA and Washington.
Vastly, vastly improved. Washington's not good this year. Oregon is
They're receiving votes for the first time since like 2015.
okay. Arkansas was receiving votes last year, and they're terrible right now, or last week. So they're terrible right now. So we were talking about how bad the AP poll is. You can't give me the they're getting votes argument. Use that for them being good.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Lastly, we got Wednesday. Baylor and Duke at the Madison Square Garden. We got UNC Oklahoma in Charlotte. We got Nova at Creighton, and we got Bama at Arizona in Phoenix.
I'll start. I'm gonna start with the Baylor and Duke game because this is one I had circled at the beginning of the year because I thought this would be the first real test for Baylor. But I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that way so much right now. Like I understand Duke's back in the rankings, and I mean they could still be improving and hit the ceiling, which I think they have in them. But I don't see him beating a team like Baylor right now. It's gonna be really similar to what Arizona did to them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Baylor wins that game, I think, pretty handily.
I don't have too much else to say about that. I've hit on Duke so much already this year. If you want to know my opinions on him, just watch 2 weeks ago, and we went off for like 20 minutes on him.
Yeah. All right, UNC Oklahoma.
That's a that's an interesting one. That's probably will be a top 10 matchup when it's said and done next week when the AP poll comes out. So I'm just gonna base it off of how bad these teams beat Arkansas. North Carolina beat them by 15. So I'm saying North Carolina will win the game. That's my reasoning.
I think North Carolina wins it too, but more than anything because it's in Charlotte. I mean, they just have a very big advantage there. All right,
Yeah.
Nova at Creighton, Big East matchup.
I like Creighton in this game.
Yeah, I
Villanova
do too.
confuses me and it scares me to try to predict what they're gonna do. So I gotta pick Creighton. Creighton
Yeah,
Creighton
and
is a
then
scary team too, though. They might hang 120 on you one night, or the next night they might beat you like 60 to 45. You never know what's gonna happen with them.
yeah. All right, and the last one, I don't know what you think, but I think that's going to be Arizona's first loss. Is Alabama.
I Other than the fact that it's in Phoenix, like I wholeheartedly agree with you there. I do not like Nate Oates. I'll put that on the record right now. I don't like Nate Oates, but what he's done at Alabama and what he's turned that program and team into, even losing as much as they did from last year to this year, like they're still competing. What are they, 6-3 now? They hung with Purdue. I thought they were going to get them, but give me the upset here. Give me Bama.
I like it. All right, do you have anything for Hog Heaven?
It is not heaven in Hogland right now. We are, but I have not lost faith yet in Must We Trust. Where's This is no different. This losing streak they're on. I guess it's not a losing streak. They've only lost one, but they haven't won a big game yet, other than Duke at home, which we'll see how it goes. Last week that wasn't even a quad one win. And we've hit on it before. They played down to their competition a lot, and I don't know what was going on at Oklahoma, dude, in Tulsa. It's stuff we're not used to seeing out of Muss teams. Like they don't guard the three well. They don't guard well at all right now, to be honest. But it's nothing that we haven't seen been fixed under Muss before. So I think give it till January and they'll right the ship, but you can't you can't wait till January and have literally no resume and expect to get in the tournament or be seated good in the tournament. So
Yeah,
Eric
I don't
Musselman,
have
if you
much.
watch this, help a brother out because it's getting embarrassing to talk about it, man.
Yeah, I don't have much to talk about the Flying Illini either. Tough road loss at Tennessee, but I mean, there were a lot of things. We don't really have time to talk about it. A lot of things that definitely could have went the other way. The SEC homers were out there. They weren't about to let the SEC lose another game to another conference. So I don't really have much there. So what clutched your pearls this week, Grant?
Dude, the Hogs made me clutch my pearls and in the opposite way of what we usually talk about. Usually we're doing this as a positive thing, something that excited us, but we're bad right now. We're bad. Like, plain and simple. And the reason it's making me clutch my pearls is because we should not be. They have a roster full of dudes, and you're getting blown out of the gym by Oklahoma. No, no disrespect to them, but that should not happen. I know they're a ranked team, but you can't lose. You can't lose like that. I mean, it was only a 9 point game at the end, but at one point I think it hit 20, 18 or 20 in the second half. Bad man. I was clutching my pearls.
All right, for me, uh, I don't have an individual performance, kind of like you, but how about the new Kings of Chicago? Chicago State over Northwestern last night. One of the historically one of the worst basketball programs in all of Division One goes into Northwestern, supposedly Chicago's Big Ten team, and beats them at home right after 12 days after they beat Purdue in that same building. Uh, yeah, definitely clutching my pearls in. I mean, what is going on with Chris Collins? Northwestern still can't win a game when they're a top 25 team, and rough sailing for them, but big win for Chicago State. Congratulations to those guys.
That is Chicago State with an upset over a top 25 team was not on my bingo card for this year of college basketball. I will
Yeah,
say, I
definitely
will say
not.
that much. But that's why we love the sport. That's why we talk about it every Thursday. Stuff like that.
Yeah. You got anything else to talk about this week, Grant?
And when the Hogs get better, I will, man. I will.
All right. Well, once again, we want to give a shout out to Caleb Moss and Media for making our sick edit. It is awesome. That stamp that goes on our video. Uh, can't wait for you guys to watch. Give us a follow on TikTok, on Twitter, and on YouTube. Uh, great to have you. I'm Noah. That's Grant. We'll see you guys soon.